The irregular at Magic High School begins by showing a young boy named Shiba Tatsuya. Tatsuya is a first-year male student at a famous magic academy with his younger sister, Shiba Miyuki. The Magic Academy has a system that differentiates its students based on their magical abilities. Since Tatsuya couldn't use magic power directly, he was categorized as a reserve student while Miyuki was in the main student category. Due to this system, the students who were the reserve students were often looked down upon by the main students. That day before the new student welcome ceremony began, Tatsuya met another student who would become his classmate later, Sakusa Mayumi, a girl who served as student council president. Then there is Shibata Mizuki, a girl who can see a person's aura and spirit. Then there was Shiba Erika, a red-haired girl who was skilled at sword fighting. In addition there is Leonhard Saiho, a male student who likes to fight and is good at fighting. Although Tatsuya can't use magic directly, his physical strength and fighting ability are far beyond the average first-year student. This made Tatsuya often practices footing with his personal trainer every night. During recess, Miyuki wanted to join in and have lunch with Tatsuya and the rest of his friends. However, a male student named Morisaki Shun forbade Miyuki to associate with the reserve students because, according to Shun, the reserve students were weak. It provoked a fight between Shun and Tatsuya's friends. They were fighting on school grounds until Tatsuya almost used his magic activation power to stop them. Fortunately, Mayumi and the disciplinary committee had named Mori arrive just in time and stopped their fight. Mayumi invited Tatsuya and Miyuki to come to the student council room the next day. Mayumi invited them because she wanted to appoint Miyuki as the student council administrator and Tatsuya as a disciplinary committee member with Mori. At first, one of the disciplinary committee members, Hitori Hanzo, did not agree with Tatsuya becoming a disciplinary committee member. However, after Hanzo lost the one-on-one battle against Tatsuya, he and the other disciplinary committee members finally recognized Tatsuya's greatness. Apart from Tatsuya, Shun was also appointed a new member of the Academy's disciplinary committee. All disciplinary committee members are assigned to supervise all students so as not to make a fuss or fight each other during extracurricular activities. That day, Tatsuya managed to stop the fight between the male kendo group and the female kendo group. From then on, Tatsuya became more well known to the students at the academy. One day Tatsuya is attacked by an unknown man who is wearing a bracelet of 3 different colors. Upon investigation, it turns out that the bracelet is a bracelet that belongs to everyone who is a member of the anti-magic organization called Blanche. The Blanche organization is an organization whose goal is to eliminate witchcraft because they think magic has created injustice in society, where people treat people differently based on the magic power they have. The Blanche organization is also alleged to have used some of the students at the Magic Academy to achieve their goals. The organization was quite large and had caused divisions within the academy that Tatsuya believed that the teachers or masters at the academy had acted to overcome it. At school, a girl named Mibu Sayaka approaches Tatsuya and invites him to talk during lunchtime. Sayaka had intended to ask Tatsuya to help her abolish the co-student and main student classification system in the Magic Academy. But Tatsuya rejected it because he didn't care about the classification at all. A few days later, chaos had occurred in the Magic Academy caused by the students of the reserve class. Mayumi and the other student council members decided to hold an open meeting to settle the commotion. During recess, Tatsuya accidentally met a male student who currently holds the position of kendo team leader named Kino Tsukasa. Tatsuya suspects Kino as the one who attacked him yesterday because he recently learned information from his trainer that one of Tsukasa's family has become one of the leaders in the Blanche organization. The next day when the open meeting was held, all members of the disciplinary committee, including Tatsuya, were assigned to guard and supervise the meeting to prevent fights. After all the problems were properly resolved by Mayumi, the open meeting ended. But some time after that, there was an explosion at the academy caused by an attack from a terrorist organization. Magic Academy students are forced to fight against these terrorists. Meanwhile, Tatsuya and his other friends went to the library building because an intruder from the Blanche organization was allegedly hiding in the building. After defeating several people from the Blanche organization, Tatsuya and Miyuki found out that Sayaka was also a student who was being used by the organization. When Sayaka tries to escape from there, Shay is restrained by Erika and forced to face her. After a fairly intense fight, Erika was finally able to beat Sayaka until she fell unconscious. At the same time, the disciplinary committee members had also arrested Kino, who was the mastermind behind the commotion. After Sayaka woke up from her stupor, she realized her mistake and decided to stop collaborating with the Blanche organization. The next day, Tsukasa and the others had managed to find the location of the Blanche organization's headquarters. They immediately went to that location to be able to catch the Blanche leader. After arriving at their destination, Tatsuya and Miyuki immediately met the Blanche leader, Hajime Tsukasa. Hajime then tried to hypnotize Tatsuya, but the attempt failed. Meanwhile, Tatsuya could easily destroy all the weapons belonging to Hajime's men. Hajime, who was frightened and decided to run away from that place. Tatsuya calmly chased after him while Miyuki and the others attempted to defeat all members of the Blanche organization. Finally, Tatsuya and a friend named Kirihayu were finally able to defeat Hajime and the men who were protecting him. The next day, Erika, Tatsuya and Miyuki visited Sayaka, who had recovered and was discharged from the hospital. Miyuki began to train hard to face the competition between schools later in the following days. At the Magic Academy, Tatsuya also befriends a young man named Mikahita Yoshida, who can use ancient magic. On the next day, the student council administrator and members of the disciplinary committee held a meeting to prepare themselves for the inter-school fighting competition that would be held soon. After that, Tatsuya seemed to be being contacted by a military general who asked him to investigate a weapon called the Third Eye. It turned out that Tatsuya was one of the elite members of the military disguised as an academy student at a magic school. That's why his abilities far exceed the average. In the evening, Tatsuya and Miyuki went to the research laboratory to develop a magic tool that could let the user fly freely through the air. Inside the laboratory, they met their father. And from the conversation, it was known that actually, Tatsuya was not Miyuki's older brother, but her bodyguard, because Miyuki was the main heir of the Yasoba family. Tatsuya is also a child who is the object of a research experiment conducted by the Yasoba family. That's why, Miyuki's father and his bodyguards never thought of Tatsuya and always looked down on him. On the next day, all the students who will be the representatives of the Magic Academy schools in the inter-school competition went to the competition location together. But in the middle of the trip, the bus they were riding almost had an accident. Luckily Miyuki and another committee member named Jumanji could stop the car explosion with their magic power. Tatsuya concluded that the earlier accident was not an ordinary accident, but was planned by someone because Tatsuya saw traces of magic on the car. Upon arriving at the destination hotel, Tatsuya and Miyuki met up with Mizuki and Erika. It turns out that Erika's parents are the owners of the hotel, so even though Erika and Mizuki are not participants in the competition, they can also watch the competition. In the evening, the hotel held a party and a banquet. The party was opened by the head of the Magic Association named Rettousei. Elsewhere, Yoshida is practicing his ancient magic abilities in the forest. Yoshida realized that his magic power was still low because he had previously been involved in an incident that decreased his magic power. That night, Yoshida sensed the magical aura of several criminals around him, so he immediately went to chase the criminals. At the same time Tatsuya also appeared that night and helped him defeat the criminals. The next morning, the inter-school competition began. Murray will represent the Magic Academy for the first round of battle boats. With her speed, Murray could easily beat the other participants. Mayumi will represent the academy in a shooting match in the second round. And again, Tatsuya's Magic Academy is superior to other schools because Mayumi has very high accuracy in shooting. During the semi-final battle boat match, Mira had an accident because a participant lost control and hit her off the track. As a result, she was seriously injured and had to be hospitalized. Tatsuya and the others were suspicious that someone had deliberately cheated and caused the accident. That's why they launched an investigation into the incident. For a time, Tatsuya's Magic Academy was ranked first. However, their scores were not much different from the Magic Academies that were ranked second. So they should maintain their ranking in the next match. One of the female students named Shizuku will represent their Magic Academy to do a skate shooter match. Previously, Tatsuya and the other technicians had repaired Shizuku's weapon to prevent another accident. As a result, Shizuku managed to get a perfect score in the match. On the other hand, Magic Academy High School 3, which was ranked second, suspected that Tatsuya, a technician from Magic Academy High School 1, had committed a fraud that allowed Magic Academy High School 1 to continue to win. In addition to the skate shooter match, Shizuku and Miyuki also participated in a cube breaker match, where all participants had to be able to destroy ice blocks quickly. And yet again, Shizuku managed to win the match with the highest score. As a result of successive victories, Tatsuya became popular among the female students at his school for successfully creating invincible tools and weapons. On the next day, Tatsuya accidentally crosses paths with Masaki Ichiju and Shinkuro Kichijoji, who are students from Magic Academy High School 3. They both challenged Tatsuya to beat them in a match. However, Tatsuya was only going to be a technician in the competition this time, so he didn't participate in the match. Misaki was previously a very strong child. At the age of 13, he could slaughter enemy soldiers alone, so he was nicknamed the Crimson Prince. While Shinkuro was previously a genius researcher who managed to find an absolute system called cardinal chord. That's why the two became the two students that Magic Academy High School 3 really relied on. Shun and the others will face off against Misaki and Shinkuro in a monolith match in the next match. Where in the match, each participant will fight against participants from other schools on a battleground and rush to the hospital. It turned out that the mastermind behind all of this was an international organization called Het Dragon. Het Dragon is an international class criminal group that planned to thwart School 1 from the competition from the very beginning. The next day, Tatsuya, Yoshida, and Leo were appointed to replace Shun and the other students who had been injured to represent Magic Academy High School 1. With the combination of the strength of Tatsuya's intelligence, Leo's dexterity and Yoshida's ancient magical abilities, they were able to easily defeat the participants from Magic Academy High School 9 in the first round. In the semifinals, Misaki began to show his strength and ability. Misaki had a strong defense and very fast attack power to keep up with the strength of Tatsuya and the others. During the final round of the match, Magic Academy High School 1 again faced School 3, which means Tatsuya and the others will fight Misaki and Shinkuro. Before the fight started, Tatsuya gave a protective vest to Yoshida and Leo, so they could face Shinkuro later. The final monolith match was about to start. Tatsuya will face Misaki with his magic activation power, while Leo and Yoshida will face Shinkuro. Just as the Magic Academy High School 3 team's position was being cornered, Misaki began to issue a brutal attack on Tatsuya, and it almost got him killed. Tatsuya had fallen due to the attack, but luckily, he could regenerate and recover himself. After getting back up, Tatsuya quickly attacked Misaki with his magic power. As a result, Misaki was defeated until he fell unconscious. At the same time, Leo and Yoshida also managed to defeat Shinkuro with their combined strength. The victory made School 1 manage to stay in the first place. That was why Het Dragon's organization planned to attack the other Magic Academy High School 1 students. On the next day, participants from Magic Academy High School 1 failed in the Mirage Bat match, because the equipment used by the participants suddenly broke and didn't work. As a result, the participant fell at high speed and was seriously injured. It turned out that the mastermind behind the incident was one of the weapons inspection committees who had previously collaborated with the Het Dragon organization and deliberately damaged the equipment belonging to Magic Academy 1. Fortunately, Tatsuya uncovered the crime and reported it to Rettousei, and the committee was arrested and expelled from the competition. Miyuki won the Mirage Bat match in the next match using the flying device developed by Tatsuya. The students looked surprised, because the tool was just released 1 month ago, so few people could have it. In the evening, Tatsuya had managed to get information about the Dragon Head organization from a national intelligence spy. Therefore, Tatsuya with a military lieutenant named Fujibayashi went straight to Het Dragon's headquarters and slaughtered them. The next day, the competition between schools ended and Magic Academy High School 1 won the competition. In the evening, Tatsuya and the others partied and danced at the competition's closing ceremony. A few days later, Tatsuya was asked by the Magic Academy to take part in a thesis competition with another female student named Ichihara. The two of them will conduct research on gravity control reactors. Shortly after, Tatsuya's stepmother, Sayuri, came and asked him to help her replicate an ancient relic named Nino Magatoma's relic. The ancient relic was very rare, and could store a series of magic activation powers, so many people hunted it. However, Tatsuya refused Sayuri's request, because replicating the ancient relic was very difficult. At night when Sayuri was about to go to another laboratory, suddenly she had an accident, and some criminals appeared to steal the ancient relic. Fortunately, Tatsuya was able to save her, and kill the criminals. After that, Tatsuya reported it to the military general for further investigation. On the other hand, a criminal group is planning to steal the ancient relic, so that they can use it to strengthen their fighting power. The criminal group took advantage of one of the female students named Chiaki Hirakawa, who was also a student of the Magic Academy High School 1. One day, Sayaka noticed Hirakawa's suspicious movements, so she and the others immediately chased after her. After capturing her, they then interrogated her in the infirmary. Hirakawa confessed that she had been tailing Tatsuya all along, because she wanted revenge on him. Hirakawa explained that she previously had an older sister who was a technician. During an incident in the middle of the match, a student from their school got into an accident, and that made her older sister blame herself for ending her own life. When Tatsuya could easily reveal that the whole accident was someone's evil plan, Hirakawa became angry that Tatsuya couldn't handle it earlier, and saved her older sister. After hearing all that, they decided to take Hirakawa to the hospital, because her trauma was quite severe. The scene changed to Tatsuya and Miyuki heading toward their research laboratory. Unbeknownst to them, they had been followed by a mysterious black crow. When they arrived at the laboratory, they found that all researchers were busy and panicked because of hacker attacks that had infiltrated their data. It turned out that the black crow that had previously followed Tatsuya was a crow sent by the criminal group to investigate whether Tatsuya was hiding the ancient relic they were looking for. And after receiving the information from the crow, the criminal group finally found out that Tatsuya had hidden the ancient relic. On the other hand, when Erika and her older brother named Natsugu Chiba were visiting Hirakawa who was still being treated at the hospital, they accidentally saw a mysterious man named Lugongu, who intended to enter Hirakawa's room. They immediately prevented him from entering Hirakawa's room and immediately fought him. Lugongu, feeling cornered, decided to run away from there. It turns out that Lugongu is a half-tiger man sent by the criminal group to kill Hirakawa, so that information about their criminal group is not leaked by her. Fortunately, Tatsuya caught him and handed him over to the police not long after that. On the next day, Tatsuya and Ichihara began to prepare and departed for the location of the thesis competition. Miyuki and the others also entered the competition to support their school representatives. In the location of the thesis competition, Tatsuya and the others were reunited with Misaki and Lieutenant Fujibayashi, who were both assigned to maintain the security of the location. After receiving news that Lugongu had escaped the police prison, Lieutenant Fujibayashi contacted the major to send troops to strengthen the defense. Meanwhile, all members of the academy's disciplinary committee also maintained security until the military forces arrived. Tatsuya and Ichihara managed to win the competition with their research on gravity control reactors. Tatsuya also intended to use the results of that research to develop the flying tool he had previously developed. However, the criminals suddenly infiltrated and took all the students hostage not long after that. Fortunately, Tatsuya was able to quickly withstand all attacks and counterattacked all the criminals in the room. The other students took the opportunity to catch the criminals and evacuate. At the same time, various explosions suddenly appeared around the building area, so the students started to panic. Mayumi immediately directed the student council administrator to evacuate all students, and asked all committee members to help fight the various attacks that would appear. After Miyuki transferred her power to Tatsuya and the others immediately fought all the criminals in the building. Meanwhile, the student council officers held a meeting to understand the situation and determine the most efficient strategy to deal with this incident. Shortly after that, the military general came to their place, and Tatsuya's identity as a military intelligence agent was finally known by all student council administrators and members of the disciplinary committee. The military general and his troops would fight alongside Tatsuya, while Lieutenant Fujibayashi would direct and escort the evacuation of all the students through the dungeons, with the rest of the disciplinary committee. Shortly after, Tatsuya, who had put on his battle armor, immediately prepared to jump into the battlefield. In a short time, he had succeeded in destroying the enemy's aid plane and defeating the troops of the criminal group. Some students, such as the disciplinary committee and the student council administrator, would stay behind to join the battle with him. Many of them were badly injured due to the attacks from various explosions on the battlefield, but luckily, Tatsuya was able to help them with the healing power he had. Elsewhere, Lugongu and members of the criminal group stormed into the Magic Association's office. Therefore, Mayumi and the others would go there to fight the criminal group. After arriving there, they immediately fought the members of the criminal organization and Lugongu. After that, they managed to beat the criminals. And at the same time, Miyuki managed to capture the leader of the criminal group. After all the criminal forces were defeated, Tatsuya was ordered to destroy the enemy's command ship and fleet, using the Third Eye's weapon with full power. After a very difficult and time-consuming battle, the battle was finally over. After that, Tatsuya, Miyuki, and the others returned to live a peaceful and joyful academy school life.